If you feel like something is missing in your life, and no matter what you do, you can't seem to find it, then I want to let you in on a little idea today, a notion that may help you to uncover that missing piece and move forward in redesigning your life with clarity. The concept is called human-centered design, and each and every day this is used all around the world in the creation of products and experiences for people. So I know that this system works. I know that this system can help you to redesign your life. You know, a funny thing happens when we set about trying to make changes in our life. Whether that's trying to find a new job, trying to start a new diet or a fitness regime, we just start. We jump straight into the process, to that new activity. It's kind of ironic or strange to think about it. We assume that because we're us, we're ourselves, that we know ourselves. So we assume, wrongly as it might turn out, that that new job, that diet, that exercise plan will work for us. We don't actually spend the time thinking about what we really want. We make assumptions and we jump ahead. And that's why this concept of human-centered design is quite powerful when it's applied to the redesigning of your life. Because it forces us to look at the user and the user's pain points and the user's needs and what problem the user is trying to solve. Even if that user, that customer, is ourselves. It's a funny concept and it's a bit strange to get your head around it, but you almost need to step out of your life and look back in as though you've been asked to design something for another person. Because when you do that, when you take that external view, you may become aware of new pain points, new difficulties, new challenges that mean that those techniques or those systems or those diets or whatever that you apply won't work. But at the same time, that perspective will give you the information that you need to pick the plans, to pick the jobs and exercise routines that will work and that will have an impact on your life. So by taking that outside view and looking back in on your life, you can make some powerful changes. When a designer sets out to design something, whatever that is, a house, a product, a brand, a retail store, the first thing that they do is consider the requirements of the end user. What are their pain points? What are their individual needs? By going back to the starting point, the designer is then able to create the most effective product or experience for that person. It's able to meet their needs and connect with them. Think of an architect, for example. If they're designing a home for someone in a wheelchair and they don't consider the fact that they're in a wheelchair in the design, then they may create a house that's completely inaccessible to that end consumer. Now, this makes sense when you say it like this. It's obvious. And yet, because we are often the end user in this experience of redesigning our life, we often assume that we know what we want. We often assume that we know the best course of action for ourselves. So that means we jump ahead. We skip over the step that those designers do in considering our actual needs and our pain points. So that's why I wanted to introduce you to the human-centered design framework. The concept of human-centered design is about going back to the needs of the people and keeping people at the center of the experience all the way through your creation of it, even if that person is yourself. So let's have a look at this framework now and see how you can apply it to your life. I thought to begin with, we should apply a definition, and this is Harvard's definition of what human-centered design is. It's obvious, but it's important to spend the time to go through this. Human-centered design is a problem-solving technique that puts real people at the center of the development process, enabling you to create products, services that resonate and are tailored to your audience's needs. This is important, but so is the next step, the next clarification, because the goal of human-centered design is to keep that user's wants and pain points front of mind through the entire design process. And this is important because you need to check in with yourself if you're the end user. You need to constantly check in. Is what I'm creating, is what I'm redesigning actually going to meet my needs? Is it actually going to help me take positive steps towards creating and designing the life that I want to live? So remember that This whole process of redesigning your life is a process. It involves constant checking and rechecking. Check in with yourself. Find out how you're going. Find out how you're connecting. Remember, you can always go left and go right and go off the path. Don't be afraid to adopt that explorer mindset that I've spoken about in other videos. This is your life. And if something isn't working for you, you need to have the courage to be able to redesign, to go in that different direction and actually change the overall design so that it does meet your needs. Why would you want to continue creating something that isn't meeting your needs? This is the human-centered design framework. You'll see it presented in various different steps around the internet. Some people use 3 steps, some people use 4. Here I've got it broken down to 5 because I'm particularly focused on the redesigning of a life, not necessarily a product or a website. And I think it's important to spend a lot of time on those first 2 steps, empathize and define. Because like I talked about in my previous video where I talked about the double diamond method, these early steps are often skipped. As I said, we think we know ourselves, so we don't spend time on these steps. And it's important to do so. Now we move into step 1, which is about empathizing. This is about understanding yourself. And the goal here is not about improving. It's not about optimizing. It's just about understanding. And that's really the goal of empathizing. It's asking a question without already knowing the answer. And this is really important because we often think we know the answer, but as we've discussed, we may not. There may be other answers, other opportunities out there that we're dismissing by being so narrow-minded. So in this phase, I want you to really focus on understanding yourself. Take the time, listen, really feel what feels right. This is the step where a lot of societal pressure tends to creep in, to push us off, to force us to rush ahead. So try as much as you can to block that out. I know it's hard, but listen to yourself, listen to your body. The data is there. Perhaps it's showing up as stress. And remember, as I've said in another video, stress is like information. It's like data. It's showing you pieces of your life that you may want to look at first. You may want to assess. It's giving you the information that you need to design experiences. It is a pain point. It's giving you that pain point that you can then design experiences to solve. So really spend the time here to listen to yourself, to understand yourself without thinking that you know yourself already. And again, I know that sounds funny, but trust me on this one. Come in and view yourself as if you're an external consultant who's been brought in to redesign your life. Have that honest chat. It's only you and yourself. Be honest. You will be able to identify those pain points. Sit with them. Because if you don't solve those true pain points, then whatever you implement next, whatever you implement in the design of your life won't take hold. It won't work. That's why you feel like something's missing. That's why you feel like something's lost, because you're not addressing the main pain point in your life. So take the time to find that, to understand. Empathize about where you are now. Really listen to the answer. I can speak from personal experience with this step. All the time I would jump it. And when I actually reflected back on it, when I actually went back through the process to redesign my life using these systems, I forced myself to have an honest conversation with myself. And I realized that I was trying to hide from certain things in my life. I was denying them. So I kind of knew deep down what those pain points were, what my issues were that I wanted to solve in the redesign of my life, but I was a little bit afraid of them. I was afraid of what other people would think of me. I was afraid of disappointing people. So I would ignore those things. I would make up other pain points. And yeah, these other pain points were important and they were things I struggled with, but I knew that they weren't the real challenge I faced in my life. But when I decided that enough's enough, I'm sick of going through this process over and over again to redesign my life only to have nothing stick, I knew I had to go to those real honest pain points. I had to empathize with myself and sit in that moment and think, right, if I really want to change my life and create the life that I want to live, I'm going to have to deal with these. I'm going to have to design solutions to help me deal with these pain points. And it was really hard, even though it was just a battle with myself. It was really hard. But again, I knew that nothing would change if I didn't do this. As I said in the last video, the quality of your life is based on the quality of the problems that you're trying to address. And I knew if I wanted to have a solution, I had to address these challenges. I had to be honest. I had to face up with it. And you know what? Having started that, having focused on these issues, I realized that they didn't matter as much as I thought they would. People out there didn't care as much as I thought they would. It's one of the most important lessons you can learn in life. You matter the most. You matter. It doesn't matter what anyone else says. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. Do you want to live your life or do you want to live someone else's life? I know what answer I give to that question. And I'm hoping that through this process and through all the videos that I'm putting out there, that you can find the courage to design and create the life that you want to live. Now we move on to stage 2, which is about defining. And this is about defining what actually matters to you. Not what should matter. Again, forget about what society or other people think. And also, not what used to matter. Don't think about what used to matter in the past. Think about now. Think about where you are today. Look at those pain points and start to narrow in and define options and solutions that can help you to address those pain points. But be really careful here, because this definition is about clarifying. And it's really sitting with the potential solutions that you're finding and making sure that they address the pain point. And this is really key. They've got to address the pain point. They can't just be band-aid solutions. They really have to get underneath the hood. They really have to connect back to what you've identified in the previous step. Because what we often do here, again, like I said before, that I did, we can be a bit uncomfortable here. So we'll just find something that sort of addresses the pain point. It's a bit surface. You can kind of justify it to yourself that you're doing something, but you know deep down that it's not actually going to address that pain point. It's window dressing. It's all surface. And this is where great design breaks down. This is the reason that elevates good design to great design, because they've considered what will actually address the main pain point of that end user. That design is really focused on getting underneath and creating something that intrinsically just works and addresses the problem and need. So if you want to have a great design of your life, you need to do this. So as you start to realize what steps you could take, what things you could bring into your life to help address that pain point, really take the time here to make sure that it does address it, that it gets under the hood, and that it's really meeting it in a deep and meaningful way, that it's going to help you to make that positive change in your life. Now we move on to step 3, which is about ideation. This is about exploring possibilities. It's not one plan, it's not one identity, it's multiple directions. It's getting back to the idea that I've spoken about before of having a compass and not a map. You need to allow yourself to operate like an explorer. Now that you're having these realizations, now that you're understanding what things are going to address your pain points, you need to explore the possibilities. Don't quickly tie yourself to one solution. Always maintain that flexibility. This is one of the key things I speak about when I talk to design teams. Because even though they might have spent a bit of time up front learning about the customer, learning about the end user and their needs, once they get on the track, once they identify that idea, they kind of put the shutters on and can race ahead with the solution without remaining open to those possibilities that may exist just to the left, just to the right. Because when we do that, when we narrow down, we miss out on so much. All of the great innovations, all of the great changes that I've done in my career have come about because I was aware of those things outside, because I encourage my team to be aware and not lock on. Because now that you've spent the time to investigate the needs and the pain points, and you've looked at possible solutions, really explore the possibilities about how you're going to provide those solutions. Because there will be other possibilities out there, I promise you. And now we move into step 4, which is about prototyping. And this is about testing out, trying small versions of the solutions that you've identified. When you've looked broadly and you've identified some opportunities, now it's about trialing them. seeing if it actually works for you. Again, this is something that people don't do when they're trying to redesign their life. They go all in on something instead of just testing it in their life, prototyping, trialing. And in fact, in a future video, I'm going to be focusing on how you can prototype your life, how you can bring this mindset into your life to trial different versions, to trial different options. Because who's to say you can't do this? Who's to say that once you make a decision, you have to lock on and do it and stick to it? Again, it's your life. It's not about quitting. It's not about giving up. It's about shifting, changing direction. Again, following a compass, not a map. It's an explorer mindset. If something's not working for you, then you need to change it. That's obvious. Why would you continue down that path? And this is where prototyping comes in, because it allows you to test things so you don't get too far down one path before you realize that it's not right for you. So try this. If you're testing out a new exercise regime, don't go all in every single day of the week to start. Maybe trial a couple of days first. It makes sense. Test things out. It's like if you're painting your house, you'll get some color samples and you'll test them in different areas for different light to make sure that it's the color that you want. Apply the same methodology to your life. Test these solutions out because you want something that's going to work for you over the long term, that can help you build real momentum in changing your life. So it pays to spend the time in testing it out first. Take your new life for a test drive, if you will. And it's important to remember in this step, you don't have to announce anything yet. In fact, you don't have to announce anything ever. This is about designing your life, not someone else's. People tend to go all out there on social media and promote something. Hey, I'm starting a new exercise routine. Maybe it's got something to do with accountability. Maybe it's just you trying to convince yourself that you're going to do it. But you don't need to do that, because as soon as you start doing that, you feel obliged and there's other feelings and things start to come into it. You start to feel that pressure. You start to have other things pulling at you, which can make it harder to do what you want to do. So keep this quiet. Keep these trials quiet. Just test. It's about you at the end of the day. And if something doesn't work, that's fine. That's actually a win, because you've got that information about something that doesn't work, so you don't waste your time trialing it. Remember, reframe it like that. These aren't about failures. These are always about learnings. Remember, either you win or you learn. It's a great saying. Apply it here. Test these little things out. Learn from them. Remember, I want you to create the life that you want to live. So trial those options so you can do that. And finally, we get to the last step. This is testing. This is learning through experience. This is getting that product out into the world and getting consumers using it. This is a really nerve-wracking step for many designers, even if they've trusted their instinct, even if they've followed the processes, because now it's out in the world. But that doesn't mean you have to leave it, and the best designers don't. They're watching. This is an actual step as part of the process. This is actually about growing. This is actually about learning how you can design better. So once you've made those decisions, once you've trialed those small prototypes out and you think you've found something that will work, then start it. But remember, again, it's not about going all in. That's not the end of the story. If you start it and it doesn't work, that's fine. Take that as a learning. Go back. Start again. Try and find something else. See what didn't work. Where did it break? Then redesign the process from there. Don't just give it up. Don't just resign yourself to the fact that this is something you can never do. You can never change in your life. You can never address that pain point. Because you can. That's what this whole process is about. You're the user. And if you place yourself in the center of the design and keep yourself and your needs present and front of mind through the whole process, remember that Harvard quote at the start, you'll be able to create a solution that works for you. It may not be the solution that you thought of initially, but it will work and it will be effective and it will help you to change your life. As long as you remember these steps, as long as you go through that process and give yourself the permission. Give yourself the permission. It's not me giving you permission. It's not anyone else giving you the permission. Give yourself the permission to go back, to redesign. Designers in my team never ask for permission to go back and change something once that they've realized that it's not working. They just do it. So I want you to do the same thing in your life. If you get to the testing phase and you find that something's not working, go back. You can, you're allowed to, and you should. Remember, the process of redesigning your life is ever evolving. It's constantly changing. We never just set something into play and it stays that way forever. Life changes, the world changes, things happen. You're gonna have to go back and change things anyway. It's how the world works. So embrace that and remember that you can always change it. But enjoy this process. Enjoy this process of testing these changes that you brought into your life. I wanted to come back to the framework at the end of this discussion to talk about what happens when you don't follow this process. You don't empathize, you assume. You don't define, you inherit. You don't ideate, you default. You don't prototype, you commit too early. And you don't test, you just keep rolling. And if that sounds like you, then hopefully this process, this design framework can help you to go back and actually create something that works for you. I don't want you to live a life that you didn't choose. I don't want you to live a life that you didn't create. I don't want you to live a life that you weren't the architect of. All too often, I meet people who are just willing to accept what's given to them in life. I know because I was one of those people. And sometimes I still am. But I want to change that. I want to look back at the end and be proud of what I've achieved, be proud of the life that I've designed. And that's what I'm hoping to do through these videos. Through these videos, I'm hoping to share these frameworks that I've seen throughout my career, that I've used in the redesign of my own life. Because I know that they work. They're based on sound logic. And sometimes, yeah, they may seem very simple, but they're simple for a reason. I want you to have the best chance to create the life that you want to live. So I hope you found this video useful. If you have, please subscribe, follow along on this journey, leave a comment down below, and I'll be sure to see you in the next video. Thank you for your time, have a great day, and I'll see you again soon.